The rain came down in sheets that night, blurring the city lights into trembling streaks of gold and blue. Somewhere between the sound of thunder and tires hissing against wet pavement, a cry for help broke through the storm. It wasn't loud, but it was desperate. Inside the alley, beneath the cold flicker of a dying streetlight, a woman in a soaked business suit trembled, clutching her leg that refused to move. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "Please don't hurt me. I can't walk." And that's when he saw her. A single dad on his way home from the night shift, a man who had already lost too much, but still couldn't walk away from someone in pain. Before we continue this story of courage, kindness, and redemption, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Everyday Heroes, where we share real stories that remind us humanity still exists. Ethan Cole was a man built by struggle. Once a promising engineer, he lost his job when his company downsized, his wife left soon after, and he was left raising his 8-year-old daughter Lily on his own. To make ends meet, he took a job as a janitor in one of the city's high-rise towers, a building he used to design for people richer than he'd ever be. Tonight, he was walking home from an extra shift when he spotted the sleek black car abandoned at the curb, its door slightly open. His instincts told him to keep walking, but the muffled sob from the alley pulled him in. That's when he found her. Amelia Hart, the CEO of Hartwell Industries, one of the city's biggest corporations. Her expensive coat was torn, her shoes gone, and her ankle twisted badly. He didn't recognize her at first. To him, she was just a frightened woman, pale and shaking in the rain. Ethan crouched beside her, his voice calm. "It's okay. You're safe now." But Amelia flinched, her eyes darting toward the shadows where two men had just disappeared. They tried to rob me. I think they followed me from the event." Her voice trailed off, pained and broken. She tried to move, but cried out when her ankle refused to support her. Ethan slipped off his jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders. "Don't move," he said. "You're hurt. Let me call for help." But her hand shot up, gripping his wrist. "No police," she whispered. "Police, not yet." There was fear in her eyes that went deeper than the mugging, something she wasn't ready to reveal. Ethan didn't understand why a woman like her, dressed in power, worth millions, would fear the police, but he didn't ask. He just helped. He carried her through the rain, one careful step at a time, until they reached his small apartment a few blocks away. The place was old, with flickering lights and worn-out furniture, but it was warm. Lily rushed out of her room when she saw her father soaked and carrying a woman. "Daddy, what happened?" she asked, wide-eyed. "Someone got hurt, sweetheart. Can you get a towel and some warm water?" Lily nodded and ran to help. Amelia sat on the couch, speechless. No one had ever treated her like this, not since before the world started calling her Miss Hartwell. She was used to people obeying her, fearing her, envying her. But this man looked at her like she was human. When he returned with a first aid kit, she watched him clean her wound with quiet care. His hands were rough, his touch gentle. "You do this a lot?" she asked softly. "Fix things, yeah," he said with a faint smile. "People, not so much." Her lips curved slightly for the first time that night. As hours passed, the storm outside quieted, and Amelia finally fell asleep on the couch, wrapped in a blanket that smelled faintly of laundry soap. Ethan sat across from her, staring at the city through the cracked window, wondering what kind of life this woman came from, and why she looked like she was running from it. The next morning, she woke up to the sound of laughter. Lily was drawing at the table, and Ethan was flipping pancakes. The smell filled the tiny apartment, and for a moment, Amelia felt something she hadn't in years. Peace. When Ethan noticed her awake, he smiled. "Morning. Hope you like pancakes, it's all we've got." She smiled weakly. "Better than the boardroom breakfasts I usually have." But when Lily offered her a plate, Amelia's hand trembled slightly. Her phone buzzed on the table. The screen showed 20 missed calls, all from her assistant. Reality hit her again. She looked at Ethan. "I have to go. Your ankle's still swollen," he said. "You shouldn't walk." "I'll manage," she replied, but when she stood, pain shot through her leg, and she winced. Ethan caught her before she fell. Their eyes met, his steady, hers uncertain. "Let me at least drive you," he said. As he helped her to the car, she finally spoke. "I wasn't just robbed last night," she confessed quietly. "Someone wanted to send me a message." He frowned. "Message?" She nodded, her voice trembling. "I uncovered something inside my company. Illegal contracts, offshore accounts. I was going to expose it. And then, this happened. Ethan's hands tightened on the steering wheel. So you think they tried to silence you? Her silence was the answer. He glanced at her and said, "Then you're not going to fight this alone." She looked at him, tears gathering in her eyes. "Why are you helping me? You don't even know me." "Because someone once helped me," he said, "when I had nothing. It's how the world should work." Over the next few days, Amelia found herself relying on him more than she expected. He fixed her computer when it crashed, helped her move around when she couldn't walk, and even made her laugh with Lily's silly jokes. In that small, broken home, Amelia rediscovered something she'd lost long ago: humanity. And Ethan, the man who thought his dreams had died, began to hope again. He saw strength in her that inspired him, and she saw compassion in him that healed her. Together, they began to uncover the truth behind the corruption in her company. Every lead they followed brought them closer to danger, but also closer to each other. One night, as they sorted through files, someone banged on the door. Loud, angry. Ethan froze. Amelia's eyes widened. He motioned for her and Lily to hide. The door burst open. A man in a black coat stepped inside, his voice cold. "You should have stayed quiet, Miss Hartwell." Before he could take another step, Ethan grabbed a wrench from the counter and stood his ground. "Get out," he said firmly. The man sneered. "You don't know who you're dealing with." "Neither do you." Ethan growled. The struggle broke out. The sound of metal clashing, furniture breaking, Amelia screaming. It all blurred into chaos. But in the end, the intruder fled, leaving Ethan bleeding from a cut on his forehead. Amelia rushed to him, tears streaming down her face. "You could have been killed." He smiled weakly. "Told you I fix things, even trouble." She laughed through her tears and hugged him. In that moment, she realized something she hadn't wanted to admit. She needed him. Not as her savior, but as her anchor. If you're still here, and this story has touched your heart, don't forget to hit like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Everyday Heroes. Every click helps us share more stories that remind the world what kindness can do. Weeks later, with Ethan's help, Amelia presented the evidence to the board. The men who tried to silence her were arrested, and the company began to rebuild, with her leading not from fear but from courage. When reporters asked her how she found the strength, she simply smiled and said, "Because someone believed in me when I couldn't stand on my own." After the cameras left, she walked, still limping slightly, toward the man waiting outside the building. Lily ran to hug her, and Ethan smiled that same quiet smile. "You did it," he said. "We did it," she corrected. They stood there under the morning sun, no longer strangers, no longer broken, just two people who had found light in each other when the world was at its darkest. Sometimes the heroes we need aren't wearing suits or carrying power. They're just people who stop, listen, and care when no one else does. Because one act of compassion can change a life, heal a heart, and even rewrite destiny.